If you don't know what's driving results, you're not leading, you're gambling. Welcome to the Rise with Sterling Phoenix. This is a momentum mini, a short, tactical reset to get you moving fast. No fluff, no theory, just clarity you can actually act on today. Today's mini, the 15-minute clarity audit, will changes everything. Because here's the reality. Most leaders are drowning in activity, but starving for clarity. They're busy, they're executing, they're checking boxes, but they have no idea what's actually working, what's driving results, what's worth doubling down on. And that's not leadership. That's just motion without momentum. So let's fix that right now. Here's what I see constantly: leaders running at full speed, priorities stacked, calendars packed. But when I ask them what's working, what's actually driving your results, they pause, they hedge, and they say things like, well, we're doing a lot of things. That's not an answer. That's a red flag. Because if you can't name with precision what's driving your momentum, you're operating blind. You're throwing energy at everything and hoping something sticks. And that's exhausting and it's inefficient. And it's why most teams burn out before they break through. So here's what we're going to do: we're going to run a quick clarity audit using three simple questions that will immediately show where you're winning, where you're wasting energy, and where you're missing the unlock. 15 minutes, three questions, total game changer. Let's go. First question: what's actually working? Not what you hope is working, but not what you invested in, not what looked good in the strategy deck, but what's actually producing results right now. Here's how to answer this: look at your last 30 days. What actions, initiatives, or priorities actually move the needle on revenue, retention, pipeline, or impact? Whatever your core metric is. Be ruthlessly honest. Strip out everything that's just activity and focus on actual outcomes. Did that campaign drive qualified leads? Did that process change reduce bottlenecks? Did that hire accelerate execution? Write down the top three things that are proven to be working. Not guesses, not maybes, actually proven. And if you can't name three things, well, that's your answer. You're busy, but you're not effective, which means you need to shift from activity to outcome focus immediately. But assuming you can name what's working, that's your gold. That's where you double down on. Because too many leaders keep spreading their energy across 10 things when they should just be pouring it into three things that are already producing. Clarity first, then application. Second question: what's burning energy without results? This is the uncomfortable one because it forces you to admit what's not working. And most leaders avoid this question because they're already way deep in it. They've invested time and budget or ego into initiatives that they don't want to kill. But here's the truth: the fastest way to create momentum is to stop doing things that don't matter. So look at your current priorities, your active projects, your reoccurring commitments, and ask which of these is consuming time, energy, or resources, but producing nothing meaningful. Maybe it's a meeting that's become a status update no one needs. Or maybe it's a project that's been almost done for 3 months. Or maybe it's a partnership that sounded great on paper, but really hasn't delivered any value. Whatever it is, name it and write it down. And then make the hard call: cut it. I know this is hard, especially if you were the one who championed it in the first place. But sunk cost is a trap. Just because you invested doesn't mean you have to keep leading. The energy you're wasting on things that don't work, that's energy you could be using to scale things that actually do. So stop protecting dead weight, cut it, free up capacity, and redirect that energy toward what's proven. That's how you create momentum, not by doing more, by doing less of the wrong things. Now, third question: what's missing that would unlock momentum? This is where you shift from diagnostic to strategic. You've identified what's working. You've identified what needs cut. Now ask, What's one thing we're not doing that if we started would accelerate everything? Maybe it's a system you haven't built yet, a process you haven't documented, or a hire you haven't made. Maybe it's a metric you're not tracking, or a conversation you're not having, a decision you're avoiding. Maybe it's clarity you haven't communicated, or alignment you haven't created, or feedback you haven't gathered yet. Whatever it is, it's the gap, it's the missing piece, the unlock. And most leaders already know what it is. They just haven't prioritized it yet because it's not urgent. It's not screaming at them. But here's the thing, the stuff that unlocks momentum usually isn't urgent, it's important. And if you keep ignoring important in favor of urgent, you'll stay stuck in reactive mode for literally forever. So write it down. That one thing that's nagging at you. The thing you keep saying you'll get to when things calm down. Spoiler, things will never calm down. You have to make the pace. So decide, what's the one unlock you're going to prioritize in the next 30 days? Not 10 things, just one. And then build your schedule around making that one thing happen. Because that's the difference between leaders who plateau and leaders who break through. They don't wait for clarity, they create it. All right, here's your tactical takeaway. Set a 15-minute timer this week, grab a notebook, and run this audit. One, what's actually working? Two, what's burning energy without results? And three, what's missing that would unlock momentum? Answer honestly, no fluff, no excuses. And then do two things. First, cut one thing that's not working. Today, this week, don't delay. Next, start that one thing that's going to unlock momentum. Block time out for it. Make it a non negotiable. That's it. 15 minutes to clarity, then action. Because momentum doesn't come from just doing more, it comes from doing the right things with focus and intention. And this audit, it shows you exactly what those things are. If you don't know what's driving results, you're gambling. But now you got the audit that changes that. 15 minutes, 3 questions, total clarity. Thanks for tuning in to this Momentum Mini on the Rise. Now go run that audit, and I'll see you next time. Clarity, momentum, no burnout. That's the rock.